Hello. Today's video is a very important video. Um, it's uh, it's difficult to put all together because it's so important. It's a test, but precept upon precept, we are capable of doing this. And so today's video is going to be on the false prophet. Who is the false prophet of Revelation? We must find out who this person was, because according to scripture, it's how everybody worships the beast in the image, is through this false prophet. And so we need to identify who this is, so we are not ensnared in the system of the beast. Now, there are entities within the book of Revelation, which is where we're at. We're in Revelation 19 here. And there are three entities that must be identified. And that is the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. And through scripture, we are able to identify who the dragon is. It is Satan. It actually tells you in just the very next chapter, chapter 20, that there was a great chain in his hand, and he laid hold of the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And so through scripture, we know that the dragon is Satan. Through scripture, we also know that the beast is Rome. Go into Daniel, the prophecy with the statue, and Rome is changed. Revelation tells us that it's the beast that was and is not and yet is. And so we identify the dragon and the beast through scripture. So what about the false prophet? Well, he's done the same way. It's much more difficult than the others. They kind of give you the precept on how to do this. But to actually identify the false prophet is far more difficult than identifying the dragon and the beast. And so that's what this video is going to be. It will be a 2 to 3 part video. There's a lot of information, and we want to make sure we have more than enough to identify who this false prophet is. And so this is Revelation 19, verse 20, and it says, "And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone." And so we see right here that it's through the false prophet and through miracles that he performed that he was able to deceive the people and get them to receive the mark of the beast and worship the image. We need to identify this false prophet. Titles are very important, and that's how this false prophet was able to get put in to the scriptures to where you didn't question it. And it was basically a title, and everybody calls this false prophet off of this certain title, and because of this title, he's automatically just accepted. But we're going to see through the word that there is a methodical way, and it's always through the words. You never tell if somebody is a true prophet or not by miracles. It's by what they are teaching, the words that are coming out of their mouth. What are they feeding you with? That's how you'll be able to tell. And so we are going to go ahead and jump right into this. And before we identify the false prophet, we're going to go back and look at some teachings from Yahushua and some teachings out of Proverbs, and everything built on at least 2 witnesses. And so let's go ahead and just jump right into that. So we're going to go into the book of Matthew, and we are going to start on Matthew chapter 5. So here we are in Matthew 5, and it's actually 5:17. Yeah, 5:17 through 20. And so this is Yahushua speaking, and he says, "Think not that I come to destroy the law of the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, not one dot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least of these commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven." And so this is very important. Yahushua is giving you clues here. And first of all, he's making it very clear, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisee, you will in no case enter the kingdom of heaven. The Pharisees were those who taught the scriptures. And Pharisees are the enemy. And so we need to understand whenever we're dealing with a Pharisee, you need to have your eyes open. You need to be watching him very closely. And it says, any that shall break the least of the commandments and teach men so. So if somebody's breaking commandments and they're also teaching others to break commandments, or that there is no law, or the law's done away with, or all of those types of teachings, he's the tail. He's the tail. And so let's just keep that. That's a teaching that we need to keep. We need to understand this. We are to follow the commandments. So now we're going to go to chapter 7, same book, Matthew, and it's 7:13 through 16. And it says, enter you in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ravening wolves. We're going to come back to that, because that's another clue. We're talking about false prophets now. And they're coming to you in sheep's clothing. They look like part of the flock, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. And that ravening wolves is a clue for this false prophet that we must identify. And so we're going to go on to the next one, Matthew 16. And it is Matthew 16, verse 12. And it says, then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. And so here again, he's telling them, beware of the doctrine of the Pharisees. We must beware of the doctrine of the Pharisees. What are they teaching us? What are these Pharisees teaching? And we're going to actually see in Luke, he actually defines what doctrine they teach. And so we will go to that here in just a second. But now let's go on. So here again, he's telling us, beware of the Pharisees. Beware of the Pharisees. And so now we're going to go to chapter 24. Where are we at here? 24. And it's 24. We're going to do verse 4 and 5 first. This is Matthew 24, verse 4 and 5. And it says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And so once again, if we have somebody coming and he's proclaiming to be the Mashiach in any way, shape, or form, then you know he's a liar. And we're going to see this false prophet do this right before our eyes, written down right in front of you. And so we're just going to go right down to verse 11. And it says, and many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. And so once again, false prophets coming up, false prophets running around. We need to be able to identify these people. How do we do it? How do we identify a false prophet? Well, we're going to find out here in just a minute. So now we're going to go to, it's Matthew 24, still verse 23 through 26. So we just come on down. Let's keep on reading. It says, then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is the Mashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Mashiachs. Now remember, Yahushua is speaking to the apostles here. False Mashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So here we go. With false prophets, you can't, if somebody does signs or wonders and does miracles, well, that doesn't make them a true prophet. Because false prophets have the ability to do that too, through the enemy. And so we cannot identify a false prophet by signs and wonders. It must be by what they teach. It's, behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. So here we go. The false prophet is Paul, Saul, aka Paul. And we are going to dissect his teachings, and we're going to show you. I'm just giving you kind of a format to how we can identify these false prophets. And Paul claims to be an apostle, which is not a prophet. That's a witness. And so we're going to go in next and decipher, how do we tell what a true witness is and what a false witness is. Right now we're trying to figure out a prophet. What is a true prophet to a false prophet? And here you go. It's through their words. Signs and wonders is not how you tell. And he says, if one says that he saw me in the desert, go not forth. Well, that's exactly what happened to Paul. Paul's conversion happens 15 years after Yahushua's ascension. The apostles had been growing the church, scripture bears record, by the thousands. Even the Gentiles have been called in with Peter, with Cornelius. And it was just growing. And then after 15 years, boom, Paul shows up. And from that point on, it goes downhill. But through great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in his secret chambers, believe it not. That would be Muhammad. Muhammad proclaimed to have had this vision, and that's where Islam was founded. In a cave, a secret chamber, he supposedly saw this angel or this light. Paul was in the desert when he supposedly saw this light. This is Yahushua telling you, giving you clues to where you can put this together. And so now we're going to go into Luke 12:1, and he's going to tell us about the Pharisees. Beware you of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Remember in the last scripture, the doctrine, beware of the doctrine of the Pharisees. Well, this is their doctrine. Hypocrisy. They're hypocrites. That's what Yahushua called them constantly, you hypocrites. So this false prophet will be a hypocrite. And we'll be able to identify that in Paul's teachings. He was clearly a hypocrite. And so we're starting to lay down this foundation as to how we can identify this false prophet that's mentioned in Revelation that caused everybody to receive the mark and the image. And so now we're going to go into the book of Proverbs. And the book of Proverbs, we're just going to read several of them, and they give us a good account as to what to expect with a witness, an actual witness. And so the first one we're going to go to is 12:17, and that's right here. And it says, "He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit." You see, a false witness will lie. They'll lie. You will catch them in lies. A truthful witness will not lie, but a false witness will lie. And so here's the first one. We're going to give you several of these. This is Proverbs 12:17. Go to Proverbs 14:5. Just right here. A faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness will utter lies. So there you have it. This is how you identify a faithful witness from a false witness. A false witness will lie. A faithful witness will not lie. Because, as John said, no lie is of the truth. If it's a lie, it's not of the truth. That's for sure. And so they're false witness. They are not of the Father. So we just come on over 14:25. A true witness delivereth souls, but a deceitful witness speaketh lies. And so there you go again. He's telling you over and over how to identify a witness, a true witness, to a false witness. And so now we're just going to go 17, chapter 17, same book. Where are we at here? 17:15. Sorry about that. So we go 17:15. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, even they both are an abomination to Yahuwah. Ooh, that's so good. He will not justify the wicked. If you're out there murdering people, and I'm talking murdering people, even in the temple itself, Paul did this. He killed them by the hundreds. He was a wicked soul. The Father will never justify him. And you can find this over and over and over. He does not justify the wicked, ever. And this is how we're able to do that. You have to believe in his words. When he tells you something, he don't change. You can take it to the bank. That's how we're able to identify who a false witness is to a truthful witness, because the Father don't change. The Father does not change. And so we come over here and we clearly see a false witness equals deceit, lies. Okay? A false prophet, signs and wonders. A false prophet will deliver signs and wonders, but it's the deceit. Do they lie? That's how you were able to tell. And then the Pharisees is hypocrisy. Why are we bringing up the Pharisees? And the reason why we're bringing up the Pharisees is because Paul was a Pharisee. Not only before his conversion, but after his conversion. He admits to still being a Pharisee. So since he is a Pharisee, I need to check his teachings. Yahushua makes it very clear. Beware of the Pharisee. And we're looking for a false prophet. Lo and behold, this man claimed 15 years after the Messiah's ascension that he's this 13th apostle, which is an eyewitness. And we're going to get into all this in the next video. Now that we have a groundwork and we know how to expose a false witness or a false prophet, now we can go in and start dissecting the teachings. And you will see that this man is a liar, and that he's a hypocrite, and that he did not see Yahushua in the desert. Just as Yahushua said, behold, if he say he saw me in the desert, believe it not. If they tell you I saw him in my secret chambers, do not go. It's that simple. And so we just need to take Yahushua's words, the rest of the scriptures, compare them with this false prophet, and see who he is. Right here. He that keepeth the commandment keepeth his own soul, but he that despiseth his ways shall die. That's what Paul taught. Paul taught against the commandments. We're gonna see this. This was a big problem between him and the apostles. And there was a big war. The book of Acts is a 35-year timeline. And all those epistles that were written by Paul and the apostles are at the end of that timeline. And so all you have to do is match up his writings with the book of Acts, the 35-year timeline. And you're going to find out that he lies constantly. A wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. An evil man seeketh only rebellion. Therefore a cruel messenger shall be sent against him. That's exactly what Paul did. Paul was rebellious. He even admits, I destroyed the law. And so we're going to, the next video is going to be all about his teachings. We're going to start diving into him. We're going to dive in what is an apostle. We're going to identify exactly who he is, so we can answer this question. And so I'll go ahead and get started with the next video, and we will expose who this false prophet is. And it's Paul. And you're going to know this for sure by the time we're done with this 3-part video.